Anchor text. Like I've been saying, your anchor text profile needs to be very, very, very diverse. Okay, so when I say very diverse, I'm talking about, we're going to get to percentages, but way more than people think, and there's a few clarifications that people very commonly do, very, very common mistakes that end up having a very over-optimized anchor text profile without them even knowing it. So the only exceptions are going to be the raw URL as the link. There seems to be no ability to get an over-optimization penalty for too many links pointing to your actual URL you're linking to, as well as branded links. Now, branded link would be the name of your company. So say web-friendly, right? Webfriendly.ca, you might even be able to get away with lots of links that are going to be like Matt Asafan web-friendly. So things very, very, very obviously about your brand. Now, places where I'd be careful with that is if you have a business that's something like Mr. Locksmith, yeah? Or like, anything to do with like Vancouver roofing or something like that. So you may have something that, it's great, it's a super, super keyword rich company name, and your domain might be, say, Vancouver roofing or Mr. Locksmith, but you've got to be careful then when you're building your links to not build as high a percentage being your branded, because it still has that keyword rich to it. So also when we're talking about that, who here has heard of the EMD or exact match domain name update? So a lot of people feel like that basically penalized exact match domain names. It basically just took away the bonus that was given, or as strong a bonus. In general, still, you have a little better optimization of that page right off the bat because your domain name is the keyword you're trying to rank for. But from an over-optimization standpoint, that's a huge, 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 huge amount of optimization you already have done. So you can trip that penalty much easier by having too high of a percentage to that domain name, and even some people are saying even to the domain itself because it has the keywords in. I don't know. I haven't managed to penalize a site with a URL link, even if it has the keywords in it. But you definitely want to be careful with the branded stuff, and don't consider your, VancouverCateringCompany.com, that Vancouver Catering Company is the name of your business, right? So you want to make sure that you're really careful with that. Now, when we're talking percentages, I say almost everything should be built with the URL or branded, and I would even say stick to the URL for more of it. And one of the best things you can do, go and use a service like Majestic SEO or Open Site Explorer or Ahrefs, and what they'll allow you to do is basically view your competition's link profile, view their anchor text, and whatever's the standard within the top 10 sites ranking in your market, you want to make sure you keep your anchor text profile pretty similar in percentages to them, because they are not penalized, A, right? And B, that's the norm, if you will, for that industry. So what might be the norm for, a plumber might not be seen as the same norm for a dentist or for an e-commerce site. So it's always good to see what the competition is doing with that. But in general, if we want to have some rule of thumb, first thing is max. And I'm talking actually max would be 30% with any keyword, like any keyword rich. Okay, so I'd like to see 70% of the links being raw URL and branded. Or a few, random things like you can have click here, and I'm not concerned about, non-money keywords, but keywords that could ever be seen as being things you're trying to rank for. You don't want to go over 30%, and I'm going to consider that high. So I would rather go lower than that, but that's where you don't want to pass. Because I've seen sites get penalized with even just slightly over that 30%. Now that being said, no more than 5 to 10%, and I'm talking again a max, that 10%, I'd rather again see it lower. I would stick to even personally under the 5%, be for any one money keyword. Now, when I say one money keyword, if you're trying to rank for, let's say you're a roofer, let's use the Vancouver roofing again. If you're a roofer in Vancouver, roofing Vancouver, Vancouver roofing, roofing in Vancouver, roofing Vancouver, BC, Vancouver Roofing Company, those are all one, basically, of a keyword. So don't think that you can have 5% of Vancouver roofing, 5% of roofing Vancouver, 5% of Vancouver roofing company, and work all the way up to your 30%, and you're still within these guidelines. If it is a very, very close change from, like each one is basically just moving around the city and the keyword, and honestly, I'd be careful with too many Vancouver roofer and Vancouver roofers or roofing company. All of those ones that basically mean the same thing. Be careful with those and don't consider them all separate keywords. But that's one of the most common things I see is people who think their anchor text profile isn't over-optimized, but it's not over-optimized for one exact keyword, right? But Google knows that a Vancouver roofing company and Vancouver roofing are targeting the same keyword. And you can mix in tons of variations, so LSI keywords, related terms, synonyms, anything to build those out and build out a more diverse anchor text profile. But in general, raw URLs and branded are going to be your best friend when it comes to anchor text.
What's LSI?